Morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Yesterday, I shared with you that my wife Sophie was being tested for COVID-19, and that test did come back positive. Sophie's symptoms remain mild, but we are following medical advice and taking every precaution. She will remain in isolation for the time being. We are thinking about all the families across the country who've received the same diagnosis. But we're in good hands. We have full confidence in Canada's health officials and professionals. This means that, upon my doctor's recommendation, I will remain in self-isolation for 14 days. I want to be clear, I have no symptoms, and I'm feeling good. And technology allows me to work from home. Of course, it's an inconvenience and somewhat frustrating. We are all social beings, after all. But we have to do this, because we have to protect our neighbours and our friends, especially our more vulnerable seniors and people with pre-existing conditions. We are following medical advice, as should all Canadians. And on that note, I want to thank all of Canada's health professionals and the Public Health Agency who are doing an incredible job supporting and looking after all of us. Hier, je vous ai informé que mon épouse Sophie avait subi un test pour la COVID-19 et le test s'est avéré positif. Les symptômes de Sophie demeurent faibles, mais on suit les recommandations du médecin et on prend toutes les précautions nécessaires. Elle demeurera donc en quarantaine pour une durée indéterminée. Nous pensons à toutes les familles d'un bout à l'autre du pays qui ont reçu le même diagnostic, mais nous sommes entre bonnes mains. Nous avons pleinement confiance dans les professionnels de la santé et les autorités de la santé publique du Canada. Ça veut dire que, suite à la recommandation de mon médecin, je suis en isolement pour 14 jours. Je veux être clair, je n'ai aucun symptôme, je me sens très bien, je travaille de la maison par précaution. De nos jours, la technologie nous permet de travailler à distance. C'est sûr que ce n'est pas idéal et c'est un peu frustrant. Nous sommes d'après tout tous des êtres sociaux. Mais c'est ce qu'on doit faire pour protéger nos voisins, nos amis, surtout les personnes âgées, les plus vulnérables et ceux qui souffrent de conditions de santé. Nous suivons l'avis des médecins comme tous les Canadiens devraient faire en ce moment. Je veux en profiter pour remercier tous les professionnels de la santé et l'Agence de santé publique qui font un travail exemplaire pour nous appuyer. Je veux maintenant vous faire part des démarches que le Canada entreprend pour assurer votre sécurité et protéger votre santé. Hier, je me suis entretenu avec plusieurs dirigeants internationaux, dont le président Trump des États-Unis, le premier ministre Johnson du Royaume-Uni et le premier ministre Conte de l'Italie. J'ai également participé à la rencontre du comité spécial du cabinet sur la COVID-19 et j'ai tenu une rencontre téléphonique avec le ministre des Finances sur la situation économique actuelle. J'ai aussi eu la chance de faire le point avec le président et chef de la direction de la Chambre de commerce du Canada et le président du Conseil du travail du Canada. Ce matin, j'ai participé à une rencontre du cabinet et j'ai parlé au président Macron de la France. Mes conversations se poursuivront dans les prochains jours. Plus tôt aujourd'hui, les ministres Blair, Riddiw et Garneau ont annoncé que le Canada recommande aux Canadiens d'éviter les voyages non essentiels à l'extérieur du pays. Nous avons également annoncé que la saison des croisières était suspendue jusqu'en juillet et que nous allons rehausser encore davantage les mesures de sécurité dans les aéroports. Nous rationalisons également les arrivées d'outre-mer afin d'être mieux en mesure de les contrôler. Earlier today, Ministers Blair, Riddiw and Garneau announced that Canada has advised Canadians to curtail non-essential international travel and that the cruise season is suspended until July and that we are bringing in additional screening measures at airports. We are also streamlining overseas arrivals to be better positioned for screening. Yesterday, we saw many provinces take strong steps to keep people safe. They are doing what needs to be done to protect the public, and I want to thank them for their exemplary work. Later today, I will have a call with the premiers and Indigenous leaders to discuss the latest developments and coordinate our efforts, including the over $1 billion COVID-19 response fund, which provides money to the provinces and territories to support preparation and mitigation. These are significant steps, and we will do more. The provinces and territories are facing various levels of risk, but we will make sure that we align our response across the country. Addressing COVID-19 must be a Team Canada effort. To keep Canadians safe, to mitigate the economic impacts of the virus, all levels of government are working together. We are talking regularly. We are coordinating our efforts. We're following the situation very closely, and we're pulling out all the stops. I know that you're worried. You're worried about your health, about your family's health, about your job, your savings, about paying rent, about the kids not being in school. I know that you're concerned about uncertainty in the global economy. The steps being taken to keep you safe have an economic impact. But what is also true is that we are in the enviable position of having significant fiscal firepower available to support you. This is in addition to the measures we've already taken. The Finance Minister is also in constant communication with his international counterparts to find ways to work together to mitigate the impacts of the virus on the global economy. He will have further announcements shortly this afternoon. The agreement we reached with other parties to suspend the House today also still gives us the flexibility to do the things we need to do in order to support Canadians. No one should have to worry about paying rent, buying groceries, or additional childcare because of COVID-19. We will help Canadians financially. The Government of Canada will be introducing a significant fiscal stimulus package in the days ahead. From overseas in order to be able to give the proper resources on all arrivals to ensure that we're doing everything we can to keep Canadians and Canada safe. We're also obviously looking at countries of origin and further measures that we can take. We will make those decisions based on the best science, the best recommendations of our health officials.
Est-ce que ça fait partie de vos options de fermer complètement les frontières à certains pays? Et si oui, quels sont vos critères pour en arriver là? Et là aussi, je vous demanderai d'être précis. Est-ce que c'est un nombre de cas au Canada, un niveau de contamination communautaire, etc.?
Nos critères d'évaluation pour les prochaines décisions sont entièrement basés sur les recommandations des experts et les autorités en santé publique. Nous faisons confiance aux experts ici au Canada et à travers le monde et nous allons suivre leurs recommandations. Nous ne fermons pas la porte à toute prochaine étape. Nous regardons qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour continuer à faire le travail que nous faisons depuis des semaines pour garder les Canadiens en sécurité et ça va continuer. We will continue to make decisions based on recommendations of medical experts, public health authorities, and top scientists. We understand that we have taken significant measures over the past weeks and month to ensure that Canadians are kept safe and to slow the spread of the virus. We will continue to make determinations about how best to do that based on recommendations of experts. We're not closing the door to any further steps, but we will make those decisions based on what science tells us.
Ryan Tumulty, National Post, sir. The financial markets have had two of their worst days on record this week. I'm just wondering, you talk about the government's fiscal power. Why haven't we used it yet, and what are you planning to do?
2 days ago, we announced a $1 billion plan to help invest in health and support Canadians across the country. We've also put forward measures that will strengthen EI and help Canadians. We recognize there is much more to do. We do not want any Canadian to have to worry about whether or not they're going to be able to pay their rent, whether or not they're going to be able to buy groceries or care for their kids, or elderly family members. We need to make sure that Canadians have the options and the ability to follow the best public health advice and keep themselves safe. That is what we are focused on, and we will be rolling out those measures in the coming days. The finance minister will make further announcements later today on concrete measures to support our economy. But further to that, in my conversations with my fellow G7 leaders, we have agreed that it will be important for us to coordinate at a G7 level to impact the global economy, and we will be continuing to follow up on those conversations in the coming days as well.
Are you considering direct financial payments to Canadians or to affected industries?
We are looking at ways to help Canadians directly, yes, particularly vulnerable Canadians who are going to be particularly squeezed if they aren't able to go to work. These are the kinds of things we're focused on. We also know that small businesses may struggle through or will struggle through this period of economic slowdown, of people choosing to stay at home and protect their families. We will look at how to support them so that once we get through this difficult time, our economy and Canadians will continue to prosper. Nous regardons comment on va aider directement les Canadiens qui seraient dans des situations plus difficiles où l'absence d'un chèque de paye pourrait avoir des conséquences extrêmes sur leur capacité de payer leur loyer, de s'occuper de leurs enfants ou des aînés ou de mettre de la nourriture sur la table. Donc, nous allons prendre des mesures directes pour appuyer les Canadiens qui font face à des difficultés à ce point-là. Nous allons aussi chercher à aider nos petites et moyennes entreprises qui vont faire face à des semaines difficiles pendant qu'on répond à cette menace à la santé publique. Nous allons annoncer des mesures cet après-midi par le ministre des Finances, mais aussi en début de semaine prochaine avec d'autres mesures pour directement aider les Canadiens.
Hello, Prime Minister. Catherine Cullen, CBC News. Obviously, we wish good health to all Canadians. But if you are to fall ill, members of your cabinet, for instance, what is the plan for governing?
We have continued to engage. I've been very busy both yesterday and today. We'll continue to work from home remotely to do the important things that need to be done to keep Canadians safe. We have an exceptional cabinet that is working hard on all these issues as well. We have extraordinary public servants who are working as well. We will continue to do the work that needs to be done to keep Canadians safe while following all directions by our public health officials.
I don't think that indicates whether there's a contingency plan in place if you were to fall sick. I'm also curious why public health officials have told you you don't need to be tested.
First of all, there have always been contingency plans for ministers who are sick or or even a prime minister who is fallen ill. We will continue to follow all those correct contingency plans. But as I said, for now, I am continuing to work extremely hard from home. In terms of advice I've gotten from medical professionals, it was explained to me that as long as I do not show any symptoms at all, there is no value in having me tested. Je suis les indications des experts en santé publique qui expliquent que tant et aussi longtemps que je n'aurai pas du tout de symptômes du coronavirus, ça ne sert à rien de me tester pour le coronavirus.
Mais justement, là-dessus, il y a des Canadiens qui se posent peut-être la question. Vous êtes un homme en forme, on le sait, vous pourriez avoir la COVID-19, mais pas avoir de symptômes du tout. Vous êtes le premier ministre, vous partagez toujours la même maison que Mme Grégoire-Trudeau. Pourquoi ne vous faites pas tester systématiquement à tous les jours en tant que premier ministre?
Les conseils des experts et des médecins, c'est que si je ne démontre pas ou je ne ressens aucun symptôme, ça ne sert à rien de me tester.
Madame Grégoire-Trudeau, de ce qu'on a compris, est revenue de Londres samedi dernier ou le week-end dernier. Vous avez rencontré plein de gens au cours de la semaine, notamment à Toronto lundi, également à Ottawa toute la semaine. Vous ne craignez pas avoir été un vecteur de transmission cette semaine?
On a parlé de ça justement avec les experts en santé publique et le fait que je n'ai pas de symptômes, je ne démontre aucun symptôme de la COVID, veut dire que selon eux et selon ce qu'on comprend, il n'y a pas de risque pour les gens avec qui j'aurais travaillé pendant cette semaine.
In English, please.
Okay. According to health officials, the fact that I have expressed absolutely no symptoms means that anyone I engaged with throughout this week has not been put at risk.
Marika Walsh with the Globe and Mail. I'm wondering, given the warnings that Canada is now giving about traveling abroad, should Canadians still be traveling between provinces, between cities, given how different the virus is spreading within Canada?
I think people need to make responsible decisions and check with their medical professionals and check their own travel plans in terms of what makes sense for them. I know that Canadians will listen to the advice of experts and make decisions that are appropriate for them and for their family.
And can you describe specifically what your self-isolation means, both for you and your family and your wife? You're outside right now. Is your wife still going outside? Is your family still going outside? What does self-isolation actually mean for your family?
We, as are many Canadians right now, following very carefully the advice that public health professionals are telling us in terms of what we can do and what we shouldn't do.
So what does that mean?
That means I am in isolation, as are my children, and my wife is in quarantine.
Glenn McGregor, CTV News. Prime Minister, in your conversation with President Trump yesterday, was there any discussion about future access of Canadians to cross the U.S. border and should the situation worsen? And also, do you have any concerns, given the U.S. slow response to this, about Americans coming here?
We have been working very closely with our counterparts in the United States to coordinate our efforts at the border and to align our efforts. There is certainly ongoing conversations that will continue to be had as the situation evolves, but I am confident we will continue to be able to work very closely with the Americans to keep people in North America safe, particularly to keep Canadians safe. On that, it is worth noting that it was one piece of good news that comes out of this situation is that the new NAFTA has now been fully passed and ratified and is now awaiting royal assent, which should happen very quickly.
Just following on my colleague's question, could you describe your situation domestically here in a little more detail? Is your wife here in this house? Are all three kids here? And if so, question a lot of Canadians are dealing with is how are you going to keep them occupied for the next 2 weeks?
Most of the morning, the kids have been doing Lego, and my wife has been on the phone to friends and family. I have been on the phone with President Macron, with cabinet, with officials and members of my team as we work to keep Canadians safe.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Teresa Wright from the Canadian Press. What is your single biggest concern about Canada's preparedness at this point?
My concern is that Canadians continue to follow the directions of public health authorities. We have to be alert and responsible. We don't want to panic, but we don't want to take this too lightly either. Finding that middle ground is always going to be challenging, but I have tremendous confidence that Canadians are going to be able to.
And what are you telling your children about the heightened sense of concern in the country, and also how are you explaining some of the political decisions that you're making?
We are obviously having some very good conversations with our kids about what's going on, about how not to be overly concerned, but to be a little bit concerned, which is obviously why they are home today with us. We're going to continue to have thoughtful conversations as parents across the country will be having with their kids.
Last question. Prime Minister, good afternoon. Bruce Campion-Smith, The Star. Just wondering if you'd walk us through the logic that Canada has not taken the step of restricting international travels. Is that we don't agree with perhaps the science in those countries or the experts in those countries that advocate for such a move?
Different countries will have experts that give them advice that is suitable for their own situation. We have followed the instructions and the advice and the recommendations of our top public health officials. We will recall that in a number of weeks ago, in the beginnings, there was discussion of whether or not we should entirely close our borders to China the way the United States did. We did not, and we were able to manage it in a way that allowed for control and a non-spread of the virus that gives us confidence that our public health officials are giving us the right recommendations for Canada.
And on the fiscal stimulus package that's coming out, can you just describe how will that, is that in place of the budget? Is this kind of a series what we could expect now through the end of this crisis?
We are obviously focused primarily on how we are going to get money into the pockets of Canadians who will need it because of this situation. We've had many discussions over the past months about the budget. That work will continue, but our focus right now is on ensuring that Canadians have the resources and the money to not have to stress about rent and about groceries and about childcare and elder care at a time where they're also very worried about their health and their family's health. We will be supporting the economy and Canadians through this time. Notre priorité maintenant demeure la santé et le bien-être des Canadiens. Nous voulons qu'aucun Canadien ne soit préoccupé par la capacité de payer le loyer ou de pouvoir nourrir leurs enfants ou s'occuper des aînés. Nous allons faire tout ce qui est nécessaire pour les aider pendant ces moments difficiles. Évidemment, les réflexions qu'on a depuis des semaines et des mois sur le budget continuent, mais notre emphase va être sur comment aider les Canadiens dans ce moment difficile. Merci tout le monde.
Merci.
Merci tout le monde.